At Boardroom Insiders, we are laser focused on tracking the executive priorities at the accounts that you care about most. Right now, a big focus for executives is redefining what their post-pandemic workplaces are going to look like. And if you read about this topic, you'll see that it's often referred to as the future of work. And the stakes couldn't be higher, because consider that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to hit reset on everything related to the workplace experience, from the physical space to skill requirements, performance measurement, benefits, and even what that fundamental employer-employee relationship looks like. Now, a big challenge is the need to balance short-term reopening considerations with long-term vision and planning. So executives don't want to reinvent their workplace for the near term, only to have to reinvent it again later. So when it comes to the future of work, that future is taking shape right now. And the executives who are leading, they're having to build that plane while they're flying it. Another challenge is there's no one size fits all. Some tech companies have already said that employees can work from home full-time indefinitely. Other CEOs whose companies rely heavily on creativity, collaboration, and innovation say that they're seeing alarming levels of employee burnout, morale issues, and cultural erosion, and they say that their business success will require a return to the office. Now, note that this is very different from what we were hearing from the majority of executives back in the spring, when they were touting high levels of productivity and even seemed excited that maybe permanent work from home could be a viable and productive and cost-effective model for the long term. So those are some pretty big challenges that CEOs are thinking about. And now we're going to look at some trends that they're considering as they think about what the future of work looks like for their companies. So the first thing we have to talk about is the hybrid model. So it's pretty evident that in the future, work is going to be done through a combination of at home and in person in the office. And leaders are exploring what that right balance looks like. Being in the office will likely be less about sitting at a desk all day and more about collaboration and interaction with colleagues, as well as focusing on tasks that may not lend themselves well to remote work. Leaders are hoping this new model will restore and renew morale, collaboration, and culture, some of which has been lost over the last few months. Number two is technology. So we saw how critical technology was in the shift to remote work. It will be just as critical to the future of work as employees move to that hybrid model we were just discussing. So automation is central to this model. It helps keep employees safe, physically distanced, and buildings clean and well ventilated. Cybersecurity will also be critical in this new world, where the workforce is often distributed across tens of thousands of homes and endpoints, all of them vulnerable to bad actors and bad practices. But layered on top of all of this is what IDC is calling the return to office techscape. Apps have proliferated, designed to manage remote workers and safety of the office buildings. And it's resulted in what IDC is calling app sprawl, because remember, someone in IT has to manage and maintain all of these new apps designed to keep employees safe. And some of these apps have serious governance considerations because there are some privacy concerns that employees might have about having their temperature taken and their health and their proximity tracked. Number three is all about redefining the employer-employee contract, what employees expect from their employers. And recent surveys indicate that employees are expecting more support from their employees for their physical and mental well-being. Gartner recently predicted that employers will play a greater role as a social safety net for employees and recommended that companies consider adding a role of chief well-being officer for advocating for new employee needs related to new normal. That might include physical and mental well-being benefits. It also might include something like a monthly allowance for home office. Number four is all about upskilling and reskilling. So these have been priorities since the pre-COVID days, but now they're more important than ever, particularly when certain tasks are being fast-tracked for automation. That leaves employees room to adopt new skills that will make them more valuable. And experts recommend that companies shift their workforce planning to focus on skills rather than roles. And finally, there is consideration and even some action on some more radical changes related to the future of work. Some companies are allowing and even encouraging employees to relocate from urban centers to anywhere in the world, but they're adjusting their salaries down to align with geo-pay scales. Some companies are talking about relaxing rules related to work hours and vacation, even offering unlimited PTO as long as the work gets done. This is an acknowledgement that the line between work and home life has faded, perhaps for good. And employee performance measures are also being questioned and reevaluated. Some employers are thinking about how performance measurement can better reflect impact and outcomes rather than time spent at a desk. So that's a lot that executive leaders are grappling with as they look to reinvent the future of work for their companies. And we bring you this information in the hopes that you can find a little hook or a connection to something that your company offers that you can use as a foundation for a really great conversation with an executive decision maker. And remember, all of this information is contained within our Boardroom Insiders Executive Engagement platform. So if executive engagement is a priority for your company and you haven't seen it, please request a demo. We'll customize it for you, and I promise it will be worth your time. So until next time, thank you for listening.